Hi, friends. Deborah McIntyre here. I am a naturopath in private practice in Metro Atlanta, Georgia. And today I want to talk to you about some of the scenes that are going on currently. So, a naturopath is trained to know that people are physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And usually I talk about the physical aspects, but today I'm going to talk about the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects because they do have a relationship to what's currently going on. Now, so we're talking about suppression. We're talking about how women have traditionally been suppressed in various ways, how blacks have been suppressed in various ways. Um, when my good friend moved here from Bolivia. This is still on racial discrimination. She came here a little over 30 years ago. So she, a U.S. citizen who was of Hispanic heritage, had gone to Bolivia, met her, they dated, they married, they lived there for a while. She ended up having twin daughters, and they were toddlers, at this time. She got pregnant again with their next child, and he decided he really, really missed being in the U.S. So she agreed to go with him. Now, at this time, she lived more of an upper echelon of socioeconomic standards, right? She was very well respected. She had a nice home. She had help in the home for her twins. And so it was a completely different situation when they came to the U.S. She didn't speak a word of English. They moved, of all places, to Dallas, Georgia. Now, can you imagine 30 plus years ago, moving to Dallas, you don't speak any English. Her husband, to try to financially support them, not only had his regular job, but he delivered pizzas on nights and weekends. So she's kind of isolated, with two young kids and pregnant with another. And she ended up, getting a lot of discrimination. And when she would try to grocery shop or whatever, people didn't understand her. They made fun of her. She said basically she felt like people treated her like a piece of what. Now, that's not where she is today. So there's a happy ending to all of this, and I think we can continue to have happy endings to these things as we make progress. So what I want to do is bring up one more example of suppression, and that is my profession. So as a holistic healer, there's lots and lots of suppression to my industry from the pharmaceutical industry. We're quacks. We don't know what we're doing. We're not scientific. Lots and lots of that kind of suppression goes on. Some of you guys may remember that back in 2015, there started being some suspicious deaths of natural healers that just kept going and going and going, and it still occurs today. Now, there have been 60 natural healers since 2015, who have, probably not all of them, but many of them have died under very suspicious circumstances. Many of them were working on holistic cancer cures and holistic autism cures. So suppression is very real. It's a very ugly kind of battle. I mean, hell, back in New York, my grandparents' eras, naturopaths were jailed for practicing naturopathy. So there's suppression in many different kinds of fields for many different kinds of reasons. So what are we going to do about it? That's the big question. How do we move forward? How do we make positive change happen? So I'm going back to my notes because I don't want to miss anything. So first of all, one has to just, acknowledge that suppression exists. Mankind struggles. We struggle with our own flaws. Those of us who are in some kind of spiritual walk, we work to better ourselves. I believe that basically we're good people. We just have a lot of, you know what, that happens. Caca happens to us in our lifetimes. You look at tiny little kids and they're happy and they're friendly and that kind of thing. But as we get knocked about over the years, we can lose that perspective and become, grumpier and, more suspicious and all those things that happen. So there is suppression that goes on. And the third party comes in when there are elements that try to make it worse than it really is. So, for example, I mean, the most obvious example right now is the news media, because of course they're going to try to make everything seem, 100 times worse than it is. And if there's anything that can be done to inflame and fan the fires, they're going to do it. But you can think of other examples too. In the office, the workplace is a real good example. I've known many, many, many people who are very well qualified for job positions, and sometimes because of gender or color, but sometimes just because of backstabbing. There'll be little whisper campaigns and gossip and things that go in, and it has an influence on their ability to move up in their, business situation. So that is what's called third party. So when you hear somebody trying to, aggravate and make things worse, it's super, super important to look at facts. Look at statistics. Opinions are opinions. We're all allowed to have them, but try to find the source and try to find the facts. I've spoken about this before. Ask if there's any gain to be had from someone spreading some kind of rumor or, talking bad about a person or a group or that kind of thing. So anyway, that's what third party is. And whenever you have fights that don't resolve, there is oftentimes that, sometimes people have it from in-laws. Your relationship with your spouse. There's an in-law that's like, boop, 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 in the ear of your spouse all the time about you. And that's no good. That's a third party. So you got to kind of understand these things happen. So once you understand that, then the positive actions you can take is, first of all, when people are in pain, they need to be acknowledged. I've seen a lot of posts on social media saying that in our current situation, that's the past, we haven't had this in a long time, just get over it, move on, do something positive. And I'm sure that a lot of people say these things with good intentions. I'll give you a personal example. I have had 3 different miscarriages in my lifetime. And when I've had a miscarriage, people are awkward. They don't know what to say. And they'll say things like, oh, you can always have another baby. Well, all they needed to say was, wow, I'm so sorry for your pain. I'm so sorry for your loss. Just acknowledge it. If you have a friend who is going through grief about our current situation, even if you're not Black yourself, you can talk to that friend and you can say, you know what, I can't fully understand your pain, but boy, oh boy, I can see it. And this is a horrible situation. And I'm doing everything I can to, help make the world a better situation and make make this whole race thing a better situation. We have to get ethics in, people, because the people that are causing the big trouble are the unethical people. We can't allow unethical behavior to go unchallenged. We can't look the other way. We can't be, oh, it doesn't affect me personally. Like we may not choose to go demonstrate. That's not the only way to get action, but by golly, we can write our Congress people. We can write our elected officials, and we can even write the heads of police. I've seen several videos about police chiefs, heads of sheriff departments just coming on and saying, hey, you know what? We don't stand for this in ours. And even the city of Atlanta fired 6 people who were unethically harsh to protesters. So we can stand up for these things. I'm getting off track here. Sorry, guys. But anyway, just acknowledge people when they're in pain. Don't try to redirect them. Just a good acknowledgement that, wow, yes, this is a horrible situation. And then understand that every single action that we take is very much like tossing a pebble into a pond. There is a ripple effect out from that pebble. And so every time we do something good, I take a walk in my neighborhood every day. And, with the whole COVID-19 thing and the isolation and so forth, I could see people just getting more and more kind of into their own heads, not as overt into society. I would take a walk in the beginning and people would be like, oh my God, are you 6 feet away from me? Right? And it's amazing what just a smile and a wave and a friendly countenance and a hello will do to start breaking some of that down. It's a pebble that goes out. So every positive post that you make on social media, and you don't have to be all Pollyanna about things. If you're not my age group, Pollyanna was a story about a girl that was just, everything was like, oh, it's just fine, it's fine. Well, no, we got some stuff going on right now. But you can make posts that are positive. Even as simple as taking a picture of your garden, taking a picture of your grandkid doing something sweet, your dogs and cats, man, those get the best attention. But those are important things to do too. Toss the pebbles that bring more the ripple of, goodness and understanding. And don't be tempted to share like the latest inflammatory video that you saw. OMG, right? Just don't share that stuff. Start doing the good things. When you see people that are posting, I had a very good friend who posted something that I considered to be, not very enlightened. And I just called him on it. I said, look, this is not true, X, Y, and Z. So the facts will always come into play on this. And then finally, I want to say that when you're under suppression, whether it's suppression from gender, race, socioeconomic standing, profession, whatever the suppressive element that is working against you, your absolute best retaliation for that is to prosper. My friend, my Bolivian friend, she did not let that get her down. She started studying English. She went to work. She started, she has grown and grown and grown. She manages a big law office today. She not only is powerful in her family and in her profession, she's also powerful in her community and working for good. If she had allowed those early days of suppression to make her angry and bitter or turn her inward or change her own opinion of her abilities, she wouldn't be where she is today. So when suppression comes in your head, F you, and do what you need to do to prosper, because that is the biggest dig. That is the biggest fight back that you can have. So prosper yourself spiritually. Prosper in your own family. Prosper with your relationships. Prosper in your community. Prosper with your spiritual family. There are many, many ways that a person can do good and prosper. And it's my sincere hope that in this environment, we will all focus on that, because that is what's going to move us forward as a society.